What if something happened to where Ahsoka became an Inquisitor? What would that look like?
What? Like, how would that happen? What if the sequel trilogy was good or like had one vision?
This time on Whatever We Want, we talk about
Star Wars What Ifs. If we were given the reins to create a Star Wars What If show similar to the Marvel What If formula, what stories would we pitch? There are time codes down in the description if you'd like to jump around different points in the episode. We're joined by our good friend Greg, a fellow Star Wars fan. We talk everything from
Eagle Scouts to sequels.
We didn't talk about Kennedy's sex dungeon.
No!
All right, here we are. Main segment. Greg, thanks for joining us. We said this in a pre-recorded intro, but Greg is our good friend back from the olden days. He's a fellow Star Wars fan, and yeah, so how are you doing today, Greg?
I'm doing great. Happy to be here. Happy to see everything you guys been doing.
Thanks, man.
Thanks, man.
Appreciate it. Basically, today we had a comment on one of our videos. Lunar Butterfly suggested on our episode where we talked about pitching an R2-D2 like origin story. They were like, hey, like you guys should do like a Star Wars What If, kind of like Marvel What If. So this whole episode, we're just going to kind of pitch like a bunch of similar like mini episode ideas for Star Wars What If. So we kind of each prepped a few ideas and we're going to like flesh them out. So I don't know, kind of just want to jump into it. I'm excited for this one. Thank you, Lunar Butterfly, again. But does anyone want to go first particularly?
I think we were all thinking about the Anakin, like if he didn't join the dark side.
Yeah.
I think that's one of the best what ifs of Star Wars.
Yeah, so what if Anakin never turned evil, like turned to the dark side? It's your first one?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. I was talking to Daniel about this, and when we first saw this comment, we talked about it on our episode, but I don't want to jump over yours, but I don't think much would change, honestly, because I think Palpatine had the dominoes in place to topple the Republic. Like, I think the pieces were in order. I just think the role of Darth Vader would have went to someone different, and maybe like the fall of the Republic would have just been a little later down the road. I don't know. What are your guys' thoughts on that?
I think I see that as well. I think we never really see the Republic with Jedi and clones in a time of peace.
Yeah.
We always see them either fighting the Separatists, fighting each other. I love I see the videos about like the droids are fighting the clones and then suddenly like they're killing each other.
They're like, what the heck?
Yeah, no, we would actually see a time of like Republic peace, which would be a really interesting thing to see.
So you think if Anakin didn't turn, like the Republic would have won the war? Is that what you're saying?
From what it seems that they were
like about to win.
They were on the cusp of winning.
Until like the clones went like escape, change teams.
Yeah.
That's interesting. Yeah, I mean, I wonder if that would have caused more like problems. Like the Jedi and the Senate would have to figure out like what do we do with these like millions of clone soldiers now. Like I feel like that would have caused some issues that maybe Palpatine could have used to like win some more political power.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, true.
And what I see is because of their like accelerated aging.
Yeah.
Essentially, when they were done serving, there was nothing for them, and we can see that in the Kenobi show. Like we saw like a homeless clone on the streets.
Yeah, that's very true. Yeah, I think we also saw in Bad Batch there was like a clone that just became like a farmer, and he was like pretty old already by the time. Like if they're not like training constantly, they get kind of like, I don't know, complacent almost. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I feel like also maybe, I'm not sure if it would have been like the Grand Inquisitor or somebody like that would have been like an Inquisitor role.
To take up that mantle of Darth Vader, like that, fill that power void.
Yeah, become the apprentice out of that situation there. Because like, Palpatine's doing his stuff, man. Like either way, I feel like he's going to get somebody to go take care of those younglings. You know what I mean?
Do you think the Death Star would have been built? Because the plans were already like in place all the way back in like episode 2. We saw that Geonosian with the plans in the background,
I think they could have done it. I don't know if they would have used it necessarily if they were in a time of peace.
Right. It was already pretty secret. Yeah. So
in this assumption about Anakin not joining, are we going to assume that there was no Order 66?
That's interesting because Order 66 was still in place. Maybe Palpatine in like a last ditch like resort would have done it. Like he was like, oh shoot, like I don't have an apprentice, or like what is the moment that like, I guess we have to decide what the moment is that Anakin chooses like to change. Like is it that moment when like Palpatine is like facing off Mace Windu and Anakin like saves him? Would like Palpatine die in that moment? Because that would also change a lot if that's when Anakin decided to like stay on the light side. Like what is the moment you had in your mind where Anakin doesn't switch, I guess?
Well, what's interesting is Mace Windu is the one that says we need to kill him. He's too dangerous to be left alive. And that's almost like a sign where Anakin was saying, no, like that's not the Jedi way. Like we need to act, according to the book here. And then when he ends up killing him, when Mace Windu is trying to, wipe him there, that's when he switches to end up fighting him. So it's almost like an ethical decision that he makes.
It's a really powerful moment. George Lucas, man, maybe knew what he was doing.
Yeah, he wasn't the best writer, but he certainly was a great director, and he knew like at that moment, like it was just such a great moment.
Yeah,
where you could see that his switch to the dark side wasn't because he was evil; it was because he was both afraid of Padme and like he didn't want to kill a man in cold blood like they did with Palpatine.
Right. So in this like what if, like in the Marvel what ifs, it's like something different. Like there's one moment that like is very like just something different happens than in the actual like MCU. So in your vision for your first what if, Greg, what is the moment that like sets Anakin down a different like timeline path kind of thing?
I feel like you got two options here. It's either one, it depends really if you want to keep Palpy alive or not. If you want to keep Palpy alive, then have him change and choose not to kill Dooku. Take Dooku prisoner, still get Palpy off the ship.
And that would also... Actually, I like that. We don't have to do that, but I'm just saying, like, Dooku, like, could then be like, yo, this guy was going to throw me under the bus. He's the Sith Lord. Like, he could then, like, reveal that in that moment because he's still alive. And that would pretty much just undermine all of Palpatine's power from that point forward.
I think that's a moment that's not talked about enough. The fact that Palpatine was like, yo, you got to wipe this guy. Like,
like
right
Dooku's face, he's just like, what?
Dooku literally has no hands. He's just sitting there, and he's a perfect prisoner to take. And they could have learned so much by taking him.
Yeah.
And he was like, do it.
Yeah, I know. You know what? I think that moment is talked about enough. That line is at least.
Yeah, I know.
So, well, you said that moment or something else, Daniel? Like that.
Yeah, either that or like what Greg was saying, where Anakin helps Mace to wipe out Palpy.
Okay, so in this what if, Greg, what would you prefer? Anakin start down a different path by not killing Dooku or by not assisting Palpatine in killing Mace?
I would say that like the epitome of it is when he kills Mace. But I think what George Lucas wanted to do was he wanted to show us that all along there was moments where Anakin was slowly fading to the dark side.
Right.
Like when he wiped the Sand People on Tatooine.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. I love the music in that scene.
Oh man. The moment is like just so good when it shows how like he did it out of emotions. And you can say that like his whole progress goes down there because of fear, losing the people that he loves.
Right.
So I would say like the epitome though is once he decides like I'm going to protect Palpatine over Dooku because I think that this is my only shot of saving Padme.
Right. So you're saying in this what if when what's going to set him down a different path is this time in like our episode that we're pitching to Kathleen Kennedy or whatever, like in this what if. So we're saying that he sides with Mace Windu in this scenario. Like he doesn't intervene, or maybe he doesn't even just like show up to the, what's it called? To like Palpatine's room. I don't know.
Mm-hmm. I guess that would be it. Yeah.
Okay.
True. Yeah.
So what would change then after that moment? Palpatine would be dead. So Order 66 could not happen because he couldn't order it. So I guess like you said, the Republic would win the war. And because Grievous has just died, Dooku's dead, Palpatine's dead, who was like kind of pulling the strings behind everything. So Order 66 would not happen. I guess, it would be like an era of kind of like quote unquote peace in the Republic. But I think there'd be still a lot of trouble with the Senate. And I guess there could still be a little falling out. Like if they got their security recordings of, I don't know, of like Palpatine getting killed by the Jedi.
Of them killing Palpatine?
Like maybe that would turn the Senate against the Jedi, and that would cause some like kind of civil unjust.
Well, either way, if you still have the Jedi being like like even if that did happen, and there's like some anti-Jedi plot again, it's still not Order 66.
If they also got those recordings, they would see Palpatine just shooting lightning like out of his fingers.
Yeah, true. Like Palpatine like jump out of his chair and do like a full corkscrew.
Like a 720 spin.
And then like
what's that red thing coming out of his hand?
And then impales 2 Jedi masters with no problem whatsoever. Yeah. They'd be like, hey, maybe this guy's bad.
Maybe that like his like blue like Triceratops guy, like alien that's like his right hand man. Maybe he could like spin it and like not show the recordings, but be like, yo, the Jedi like killed Palpatine. Because that's kind of what they do in the movie anyways. Like Palpatine's like, this attack on my life left me like scarred, and he doesn't release the actual recording of it. So maybe like Palpatine's right hand man will be like, yeah, like the Jedi did this. Like they killed, he could be like, the Jedi killed Palpatine because they saw the war was over and they wanted to like usurp him and have all the power once the Republic was like, has won the war. So they could spin it against the Jedi still.
So maybe like the what if episode is that instead of seeing like a clear takeover of Palpatine, We see like a new struggle for power.
Yeah, like a power vacuum, and maybe the war against the Separatists is over, but there's like a new civil war against the Republic people.
That would be the conflict.
And who would become the new chancellor? That's the thing too.
That's
he's still
the
chancellor
question,
at that point.
I think.
If we see like the Republic's constitution, see like how the power progresses.
Right.
But it would probably be the blue guy.
I wonder what the gun laws are in Star Wars.
Maybe it would be like the head of the Jedi Council or something. There would be like martial law or something like that.
Like Yoda becomes Palpatine. I don't know.
That'd be crazy. Yoda becomes chancellor.
I don't think they would want that though. Like, I think Anakin might, like, at that point after everything happened, he might kind of take a step back from the Jedi Order because he's never wanted to like have a part of that. Maybe if he's alive and Palpatine or Padme finally has like her kids, maybe he would like, if he doesn't turn evil, maybe he like takes a step back and just kind of becomes like a family man. Maybe he's disowned because they find out that he's the father of, Padme's kids. So like he is forced to just like take a leave of absence and lives a peaceful life. I'd be happy with that, honestly. Just Anakin living a peaceful life. I think he deserves it after all he's been through.
He gets his Thanos farm scene.
He would live on Naboo, right?
Probably.
Yeah,
not
Naboo.
Not Tatooine.
Not Tatooine. He'd hate Tatooine.
Nowhere near sand.
Yeah, true.
But the blue guy's name is Mas Ameda.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
So I don't know if he would take over. He would be like kind of like the Secretary of State, Speaker of the House, maybe.
Yeah.
What if Bale did?
Bail Organa?
Yeah.
Well,
I feel like he has a high place in the Republic Senate.
He
like,
does.
People respect him.
And I think the new Kenobi show was trying to show like that he had a lot of pull.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Because I remember in that first episode, they were like, there was like guys that were like Empire loyalists. They were kind of trying to schmooze him a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah, and even with that, he was just like, eh.
I think the more we're like fleshing this out, we're talking about like the Senate would have like this power vacuum. I think that's how I said at the very beginning of this when we were pitching this, like, what if that, like, I think Palpatine had all the dominoes lined up and something would still like topple it down just a few years down the road. I think that would be it. I think the Senate would tear themselves apart once Palpatine wasn't the head guy and there was like this power vacuum after the war. And I still think the Republic would have fallen as we knew it, and some other power would like rise to take over similar to an empire. Like, I don't think much would change. I think it would just delay the inevitable if Anakin turned good. I think he would just overall have a happier life. But I think that like the pieces were still in line. It'd just be interesting to see how that would play out. I think that would be like the kind of the episode, I guess.
Yeah.
I see that. And then Star Wars conflict doesn't become Empire versus Rebels. It becomes
like a civil war. Another galactic civil war.
Galactic Civil War, or like a political show. Like the West Wing.
Yeah. All right. I think we've talked this idea enough. Do you guys want to move on to another one?
Go for it. Daniel,
right,
you got anything?
Yeah, Daniel, what do you got?
Me? Yeah. So I had a question too. I was thinking about like the relationship between like Vader and Ahsoka, especially in like Rebels and stuff like that. And then something popped in my mind. I'm like, well, what if something happened to where Ahsoka became an Inquisitor? What would that look like?
What? Like, how would that happen?
I was thinking like maybe some kind of connection. Like she is like found by Vader earlier than what happens in Rebels, and something along those lines has her become an Inquisitor. But I don't know. So there could be other instances too. So what do you guys think for the origins of that?
So what if Ahsoka became an Inquisitor? I think in that episode of how does Ahsoka become an Inquisitor, you'd have to show like first what like changed that made her an Inquisitor, and then a little bit of like after, like what does that look like? Because she'd be like a freaking killer Inquisitor. Like, I don't even know if she'd be an Inquisitor. I don't know. She like might be like almost like Starkiller, like Vader's secret apprentice again. I don't know. Because I feel like she's so powerful, like way more powerful than just like the normal Inquisitors. Because the Inquisitors are more like Padawans that are just like temple guards that like weren't really great Jedi, but like have Force capability more than the average person.
Yeah. Well, in this case, let's say she becomes the Grand Inquisitor then, so we can be specific.
What if Ahsoka was the Grand Inquisitor?
Yeah.
Oh man.
Oh, how would she become that? Like, because I know in Clone Wars season 7. She leaves the Jedi Order for a while. Does that still happen?
Yes, that still happens, and I think that also might push her into
because she was already like in a place of like, I don't like the Jedi Order because they didn't trust me because that whole trial in like the Clone Wars season. So maybe that maybe that like kind of drives her away from the light side. And once Order 66 happens, like we see in her experience in season 7, like maybe Vader gets to her in the crash and like takes her in or something. I don't know. It feels like against her character.
Because of her morality. That's what I'm saying.
It feels against her character. So like, what's going to drive her to become an evil Inquisitor. I'm wondering.
What if she doesn't know that Darth Vader is Anakin, and she thinks that she loses Anakin from Obi-Wan, and then she's like, okay, now I gotta find and kill Obi-Wan
That would be a good twist.
to avenge. Yeah.
Maybe it's she's spun to somehow see the Empire as like this righteous cause. Like she doesn't view it as like this evil. She views like the Jedi as like she already views Jedi as like betraying her trust. So maybe she's spun to believe that Obi-Wan did murder Anakin just kind of out of cold blood, and like
I think she would know that Obi-Wan wouldn't kill out of cold blood. Maybe she might think of the Empire because she knows that the opposite is like an anarchist type of society, and she realizes that like it's the lesser of two evils.
It could be another like Reva situation, like in Obi-Wan, like where she's almost like an undercover spy within the ranks of the Empire, trying to get like close to Vader just to like learn the secrets and help out in any way. But maybe like in that process, she kind of like loses herself to the dark side a little bit.
Yeah.
I was gonna say having her as an Inquisitor would actually be a really good twist. I mean, especially if you consider the Kenobi show, if you had a character as recognizable as her, it almost would increase the tension a lot, because I think people didn't really receive Reva very well as a character.
Yeah.
But maybe if it was somebody that we knew from Clone Wars or Rebels, you know, we'd be a lot more attached. And we would know that these Inquisitors are like, they're fallen Jedi. You know, they were good at one point.
It would also be cool if like maybe Ahsoka being an Inquisitor like doesn't change her end trajectory very much. Like maybe she like loses her way for a while and then realizes like, oh, the Empire is like bad, and eventually kind of turns around by the time like Mandalorian comes around, and so she's back on like the light side by that time, but she had to like go through that to see it maybe.
Yeah, and again, that flip could be her like realizing that Darth Vader is Anakin. Again, if we're going.
Yeah.
So she realized that it's Anakin, and she's like, "Oh wait, this has been a lie. I've been trying to avenge this person that has been commanding me to do all these evil things all along."
It would be so sick just to see, like Ahsoka though, just like hunting down Jedi,
right?
Like what the Inquisitors do. Like they hunt down like remaining Jedi that survived Order 66. It'd be so sick just to have Ahsoka doing that, like with red lightsabers and like the evil Sith eyes. That'd be so sick.
Do you think she'd have one of the spinny boys, or do you think she'd still like do her own thing? Or would she have two spinny boys?
Oh my gosh.
No, she would dual wield with the two red guys.
Yeah.
Two little ones.
What would be? I want to like nail down the moment that like the reason why she changes to like become an Inquisitor. Like I think we need something solid for that.
So do we think that she's gonna do it out of
gonna do it?
Do it. Is she doing it for her life? Is she doing it because she doesn't like the Jedi anymore? What's her motivation?
Yeah, I think you can be like, oh, maybe she like sees it as the only option for survival. But I don't know. I feel like I kind of want her to believe for a while that the Empire is like good. Like I want her to fully like commit herself to it, not be like a spy. And then there's like a twist, like when she realizes Vader is Anakin, that she turns later back to the good side. So I want to know like what that moment is that like turns her to like fully commit to the Empire, to being like an Inquisitor. How are normal Inquisitors like recruited? I don't really know much about that process.
I'm actually very curious. So I remember in Order 66, they either wiped the Jedi. I'm assuming that like for certain Jedi that they had to find like on different planets and stuff, they looked at them and they were like, all right, listen, like you got two options here. You know, you could either be an Inquisitor, you can help us out and rat out your guys, or, you know, we're going to wipe you right here.
Yeah.
And I guess a lot of them followed the code and they didn't turn in their guys.
Mm-hmm.
But we do see the Inquisitors that come up. So are they all fallen Jedi?
I think most of them are. Like I know the Grand Inquisitor was like a Jedi Temple guard in like the Republic days before like it fell.
He got a note from Palpatine being like, "Hey, don't show up to school today."
Yeah.
So.
Bro, no.
You know how like Ahsoka, when she is banished from the Jedi Order, maybe the girl that like framed her like kind of gets to her and kind of convinces her to switch sides or something. Or maybe when she, you know, when she goes see the Ravas, the Martez sisters, Trace and Rafa, in the Clone Wars season 7 arc, and she kind of sees how bad the underworld is, maybe that like pushes her over the edge and she's like, wow, like
she's like, I can make this better.
Pretty crappy down here. And then like, yeah, like the Empire, like she sees some of the good they're trying to do just at face value, but not any like behind the scenes stuff.
Still, I feel like there needs to be a bigger push, you know? That's why I think like maybe if she saw like, again, I'm kind of liking this Avenge Anakin's arc in my mind.
I kind of like that, because then it comes full circle when she realizes it is Anakin. So yeah, so somehow.
Yeah. So when she like sees like the holotapes of like at the factory of them two fighting, and then she sees Obi-Wan
Yeah, I mean, and if she also has John Williams' score playing over top of it, how could she not be
how
emotionally
can you not
attached
watch
to
that?
it? Yeah, well, wait, actually, we saw in the Tales of the Jedi trailer that just came out that she's at Padme's funeral. So what if, like, someone comes up to her there and, like, shows her the recording, and that's the moment that, like, she switches, she, like, decides, she's already in an emotional state. So maybe she's at Padme's funeral, sees, like, that. Maybe she's convinced the Jedi killed Padme and Anakin, and those were, like, two of her closest friends within the Clone Wars, and that's what pushes her to, like, join the Empire and, like, try to do right that way.
I like that. I like that a lot.
Mm-hmm. Okay. So that's what pushes her to be an Inquisitor, and then we just kind of see her adventures of, like, hunting down Jedi. But maybe I would love to see in, like, this episode of her, like, doing Inquisitor stuff, she comes across one of her old Jedi companions and, like, is told that's her target, and, like, to seeing how she reacts to that, like, if she goes through with it, if she lets them go, maybe that she lets them go, and that's, like, the start of her coming back to the light side. I don't know.
I feel like that'd be good for transition, like what you're saying, her coming back. I feel like the end, though, should, like, still be her... Almost like how it was with Rebels, where she's fighting Darth Vader, but then Ezra and Kanan are there.
Yeah.
Something like that, I feel like would be a good way to end that.
That'd be such a full arc for a character to go.
Yeah. This could be, we're making a trilogy of movies. It's not What If TV anymore. It's the Ahsoka trilogy. But yeah, I don't know. I feel pretty good with that pitch. Do you guys want to move on to another one?
Go for it.
Yeah, Jake, what do you got?
So I have kind of a joke one that I don't know we have to go into this, and then maybe we could do a different one. But so I was just thinking, you know, in episode 8, Holdo, like, does her maneuver and, like, hyperspaces into, like, what's it called?
Yeah.
That's visually stunning, but I'm wondering, like, what would happen if the Death Star did that, like, into, like, a planet or something?
Oh my God.
Because I was thinking, like, I just watched Rogue One again because Andor's about to come out, and it has the ability to, like, jump to hyperspace because it does to get to Scarif to blow up the satellite dish. Like, but we never see it go into hyperspace. So I'm just wondering, like, what if that malfunctions, or, like, they intentionally, like, kamikaze into a planet because, like, they know, like, oh, we just heard the reactor just blew up or is, like, about to blow up. Like, we might as well, like, kamikaze into Endor in episode 6, like, take out some rebels with us. Like, well, how would that happen? What would happen?
There's 3 factors we got to think about when it comes to this, right? 1, compared to the Holdo maneuver, it's obviously a much larger mass, right? So you got to think about just the grand size of it. 2, the amount of kyber that's in it, right? Because that kyber, the crystals we've seen, again, like I believe in Rebels, they're getting one, trying to bring it for the construction of the Death Star, right? These are huge kyber crystals.
That's also Rogue One. They're getting kyber crystals.
Yeah, so those crystals themselves, if they get just chipped the wrong way, they'll explode like crazy.
Well, that's, I think, the goal if you're kamikaze.
my point. So it's going to be even more of an explosion. And then thirdly, what planet are we going into?
Yeah, I guess what would be the moment that, like, they're like, we have to cut our losses with the Death Star. We already know we're going to go out. Might as well just, like, crash. So would that be, like, episode 4 or, like, episode 6, I guess, right before they blow up? Like, could they kamikaze into Endor or, like, kamikaze into, like, Yavin 4 or something like that?
I feel like 6 is more likely because you can see in episode 6, like, they have, like, a lot of them evacuate.
They have time. As episode 4 just happens.
In episode 4, they're trying to defend it, and then suddenly, like, they get wiped. It would be 6.
And also, Death Star 2 is bigger. I forget by how much, but it is also bigger than the first Death Star.
Even if it's not completed, I remember it was bigger.
Right.
Now, I thought the holdover maneuver, somebody did, like, a physics equation on how much energy is produced if you go to light speed and you have a ship that is millions of tons.
Yeah.
And I think they were saying, like, you could blow up a planet like that.
So with the Death Star.
So imagine magnifying it to Death Star levels.
With the Death Star, they don't ram into Endor, because Endor was just a moon. Imagine they went did it to the planet, and then that sent like the explosion itself either did something to Endor itself in the shockwave,
sent like chunks of planet all around. Yeah. Instead of like the celebration end scene where like everyone's celebrating the death of the Emperor, it's just like horrifying, like chunks of planet crashing onto like Naboo and other planets, and like the galaxy's just in ruin.
Now, you know they're going right for like Naboo.
Yeah.
Coruscant.
Oh, true. Yeah.
Coruscant would probably be the one.
Honestly, that would be like a baller last like move. Like, yeah, we're going out. Like
baller.
Yeah. But then just I don't know. That was kind of my joke one because I don't really know like how much we could flesh it out. That was just like an idea. My actual one I wanted to talk about. The one I was thinking of was what if Luke missed his shot, episode 4. He missed the Death Star, like blowing up the first Death Star. Like maybe let's say he never shot Womp Rats as a kid, and so he doesn't have that precision marksmanship that he bragged about, and he like misses the Death Star shot. Like, would just the rebels blow up except for like the people left in space. Like, so Luke and Han would be like the only people alive still.
And Wedge Antilles.
Yeah,
I would say it would just be a moment where you have Luke flying out of the trench run, turbo laser takes him down, and it's just directed by George Lucas. Like, literally, like
directed by Michael Bay.
Michael Bay.
So I guess the only people like left alive that's like the main characters would be Luke, Han, Wedge, Chewie, and Yoda. Like, Yoda would still be just chilling on Dagobah.
Yeah, and Obi-Wan's ghost.
And Obi-Wan's ghost, yeah.
No, I think the show would then turn to like kind of the end of The Last Jedi.
Yeah.
Everyone was so happy in the Millennium Falcon at the end of that. And I was like, hey, you have like 10 of you guys left.
Right. Yeah.
I don't know why you guys are happy at all.
That would
be the ending of A New Hope. And it would be kind of like rebuilding a rebellion that we had and that we kind of established through Rogue One and
right. Yeah, that'd be, I guess, very interesting to see like how, because they're already like a band of rebels. Like, it would be, I guess, very demoralizing, because I know in the first Star Wars, like, that was so exciting to see. And also just for the characters in that, it was so great to see like these little ragtag group of rebels defeat like this huge empire. If they lost that, I feel like that act of blowing up the Death Star probably got a lot of like on the fence planets to maybe support in secret the Rebel Alliance. If they lost, I don't know if they would support them anymore. And I think like it would be now next to impossible to like rise up again, be like, hey, they're building like another Death Star. They don't have to.
I swear, bro, it'll work this time. I swear.
Yeah.
We're gonna build another one.
Do you guys feel like Luke would go through the same kind of like emotional arc that Kenobi did with his show? Where he's kind of like, oh man, I like gives all this remorse, like failing. Yeah.
I don't think so, because I don't think like that's just like a bad week for Luke. Because up until that, he was just a farm boy. Like, I'm serious. Like,
I know
Obi-Wan, that was like his whole life. So that's why he was like, wow, my whole world is falling apart. Luke could just go back to Tatooine and be like, well, that sucks that I messed up, but like not really much skin off my back, except for Owen and Lars, a little skin off his back.
No, jeez, yeah.
Because all we see Luke as far as like the Rebel Alliance goes is he was basically on Yavin 4 for like 10 minutes.
Yeah.
And like, okay, you're a pilot now. Like, you're gonna fly this.
You're
mission.
Red 5, yeah.
Yeah. They're like, here's your helmet. Like, get out there.
He's like, oh, dang, I missed my shot. Guess I'll go back to Tashi Station now.
Yeah, well, that was fun. Time to do the next harvest.
Yeah,
I'm gonna go get me some blue milk.
Yeah.
What would Han and Chewie do? What do you guys think they do?
Oh, they're out.
Keep avoiding Jabba. I don't know.
Han was there for the bag.
Yeah. Yeah, honestly, all those people left in the sky, like Luke, Han, and Chewie, they didn't really have any emotional connection to the Alliance. So they would just like not get a medal and then go home, I guess.
All the people that made it that were actually a part of the Rebel Alliance, like I think Wedge, and there was like one Y-Wing that you could see.
Yeah.
Like those guys, they really earned it, you know?
Yeah.
Luke and Han, you know, they just kind of show up for a day, blow up the Death Star, and then they get the word, get their medals, and then they leave.
Yeah. So I guess like there wouldn't be any Hoth. Like the rebels wouldn't build up a base on Hoth.
Yeah.
Well, it kind of goes into my next what if.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Which is, what if the Empire wins in Episode 6? Very similar situation is, you know, what does life look like under an unopposed Empire?
Right. I mean, it seemed pretty crappy. Like even after the Empire fell in Episode 6, because like we saw a Mandalorian, like some people were taking Imperial credit, some people weren't, and so like again there was kind of like this vacuum of like what's the heck's happening now, like there's no real order. So maybe like that wouldn't happen, but I guess maybe they'd just become more like tyrants and like crack down on stuff more. So I guess in like your what if, would the what if be like Wedge and Lando don't blow up the Death Star and like the Death Star blows up like Endor?
Yeah.
And the Rebel fleet?
I would say so. And then, you know, what we see is like any sort of remnants of Jedi are just probably wiped.
Gone.
Yeah.
You know?
So would Luke would be dead? Well, I guess he was on the Death Star, so would he turn? Like, would he actually get convinced to turn to like Palpatine was trying to get him to do?
Probably.
Oh.
I think they don't talk about it enough, is that the Empire served like a really good role in keeping peace, as bad as they did it. Because there were like invaders from the Outer Rim and stuff like that.
Would they start expanding to like further regions and further galaxies maybe?
Probably.
Well, they probably start reaching out to the unknown regions to the west of the galaxy.
Because don't they talk about that post Episode 6, like there was a bunch of issues with the power vacuum because the Empire wasn't there anymore?
Yeah.
And there was rogue nations essentially with planets.
Right.
I feel like it'd be cool to see this perspective from both Empire wins and you have two kind of like intertwining mini stories where one's somebody who is reaping the benefits of this. Like, for example, somebody who's just like a imperial civilian, and they're like, oh yeah, things are nice and good. Taxes are low. You know, I'm able to just vibe with my life.
What
yada, yada.
great Star Wars things are about taxes.
I don't know, but like...
And that's basically how the first episode started. They were like, oh, instead of action, we're going to talk about space diplomats.
Yeah. But no, then on the flip of it, you have this other character that's a slave under the Imperial rule. Because again, that's one of the big things that Darth Vader hated, is that they were still doing slavery in the Empire in general. Because at this point, like we said, Vader would technically be dead.
Wait, would he be dead, or if they won, like?
Well, sorry, yeah, no. Well,
if Luke's turns, would he not be dead? They rule together as father and son.
Oh, that'd be kind of sweet. I actually kind of like that.
Yeah.
Okay, so wait, are we saying then Palpy's dead?
They do like the freaking like Arnold Schwarzenegger like hand grip thing, but it's with their robot hands.
Okay, so that's cool. I like that idea then. But you guys get what I'm trying to say, right? We have these two stories of how these two different characters in this society now are having to intertwine and figure out, hey, is it a good thing or is it a bad thing?
Like show the good and the bad of each one.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
Jake, it's funny. You said you had a funny one earlier. I had my original 3, and then my 4th one was kind of like Greg's ones earlier, but I thought I was like, why don't I just put something funny here? And my what if is, what if Padme was ugly? And think about it for a second. No, like seriously, think about it. If she's ugly, Anakin doesn't call her an angel. He doesn't fall in love with her, which means he has no attachment going into episode like 2 and 3. You see what I'm saying?
So is this now, what if there was no Padme? Because that would actually be a really good one.
Well, yeah, we could do that as a legit one. Or like, what if he didn't love Padme? Either way.
Oh, that might be worse actually, because all of his emotional attachment is to his mother, and then she gets murked by the Sand People, and so he doesn't have he doesn't have anyone else to like latch onto to like console him during that time. That might drive him even further, quicker to the dark side. Honestly,
proper term, murked.
Yeah.
I kind of feel like the opposite actually, because I feel like even
I think that would like cut all of his ties, and he'd be like finally like no attachment.
He'd be enlightened in a way. Yeah.
My mom gets murked. I'm free.
Well, no, like he'd be sad. He'd definitely be tempted. Don't get me wrong, but I feel like because of Obi-Wan there, because he still has Obi-Wan, right, and the Jedi Order. I feel like that would make it to a point where honestly he probably wouldn't turn. If I'm being honest.
Gotcha.
I can see that because his final turning point is because of Padme. It's not because
exactly.
Of his mom.
I feel like though there were so many cases in the Clone Wars, like show where Padme just like comes in clutch and like stops these minor skirmishes from blowing up into like huge like battles. Yeah. And like if she's not there to stop all those, like there could be a lot worse things. And also Luke and Leia wouldn't be born, I guess.
But would they need to be born technically in this?
No, not really, no.
But if we're thinking like again, if Anakin doesn't turn, we still think there will be like a power vacuum and like the Republic will still fall. But then if there's no Luke and Leia there, like I don't know.
I think if you just watch like the movies, you don't realize how important Padme is.
Yeah.
But then if you watch the Clone Wars, you're like, oh man, she's
really important.
Yeah.
I think that was one thing they tried to do. They were like, we need to give Padme like something more to do than just be Natalie Portman.
Yeah, honestly.
I mean, do you need anything more?
No, not really.
I don't.
So what would this like episode look like then if Padme's like not around? Would it just be like Obi or Anakin just kind of training more?
Well, then that's what I'm saying. Okay, so we can make this funny or we can make this legit. So like the funny version is she's just ugly and like Anakin's like, I'm not about that, Chief.
or it could be she's ugly, or it could be she has human like realistic standards to reacting to flirting. So when he goes, I hate sand, she's just like, what? And then moves on, and like that's it.
Or her reaction to him saying you're an angel is, bro, you're literally 10.
Yeah.
I have another what if. I don't know if you guys do too. It is Jake's turn now.
You can go. I have some, but yeah, go ahead.
I had a good one. I know that we don't like to talk about the new trilogy, the sequel trilogy.
Yeah. I have one that just overall, it's like, what if the sequel trilogy was good or like had one vision? Sorry, you go ahead.
I was gonna say, like, what if Luke's training academy ended up working and there was a
I like that.
A whole new generation of Jedi. What would that new future look like?
Would that start with like Grogu maybe not leaving? So like maybe Grogu stays, Ben Solo doesn't become bad. That was actually one of my what ifs. I think that the what if moment could be like, what if Luke doesn't have that moment of weakness and like try to attack Ben Solo, and so like that doesn't drive them apart. I think that could be like the inciting incident that launches into your what if, and then like his academy would like keep going at that point.
So is it inferred that Ben Solo, is it inferred that him and the Knights of Ren kill Grogu?
I don't.
Well, no,
think
Grogu
so.
survives because he didn't join the Order.
Yeah, because he left. I have a fan theory that I want Grogu to be a Knight of Ren, like just in one of the big things he's in there.
I miss when it was only like season 1 and everyone's still calling him Baby Yoda.
I know, I miss
when
that.
he didn't have a name.
We can call him Baby Yoda. I think I saw Jon Favreau said that you can call him Baby Yoda now.
Oh, it's canon?
No, it's not canon, but I just think he's like, you can call him whatever you want. Like, it's Star Wars, who cares?
So he was a student.
Yeah, for like a week.
Yeah, they dropped out.
How disappointing though the Knights of Ren.
Yeah.
You know, they look really cool.
I know, and
you see them for 3 movies.
Happens.
Well, that's the thing. Would the Knights of Ren still attack?
They stand menacingly on the wall, on the rock for 1 minute.
Because Kylo wasn't in charge of the Knights of Ren when they attacked. Actually, it wasn't the Knights of Ren that killed and wiped out the Order. It was Kylo, and I believe he had like some other friends or something like that.
But didn't they become the Knights of Ren?
I thought so. Oh.
No. In the comics, it's explained that the Knights of Ren are like this like mercenary type group. And I believe there's an encounter with Ben Solo when he's younger with Luke. And that's how he first interacts with them. And I think after all this Jedi stuff, the temple goes down in flames and all that, that's when he goes and I think he has like killed the leader or something like that. And he becomes the alpha, wolf.
I was under the assumption that he took that group and then they they formed the Knights of Ren.
I thought for the longest time too, but then I saw the comics.
And
I think, Jake, we talked about that before too on the podcast a while ago. And I think people got pissed off about it when we got that wrong.
Oh, well.
Another reason why I think this just came out of my memory.
Yeah.
Like, actually.
Yeah, exactly. Hey, there's nothing wrong with knowing what the lore is, but
This is true. Especially if you have a podcast about it.
Yeah. But yeah, so in that case,
I think Leia would be more capable with her Force abilities. Like, I know we saw her like Mary Poppins in episode 8, but I think she'd like actually stick with the training if the Academy was still going. Maybe. Because I guess maybe she wouldn't have that vision. Like, didn't she have like a vision of Ben Solo turning evil in episode 9, they said? We can also just write off that never happened because it's the sequel trilogy. We can just like write our whatever own thing.
Yeah. So do we think that the Jedi would try to reform with the New Republic, or would they be their own thing?
I don't know. Like, I think in episode 8, like, Luke is like, the Jedi have to end. Maybe if like he doesn't have this horrible experience of like his academy like getting obliterated, maybe he won't have that mentality and he'll actually be more
like
on
the Jedi
board.
have to live.
Yeah.
I feel like the Jedi would live as sort of like a cult, like a religious sect, rather than, an army like they were before, which I don't think is the right position for them to be in.
Like, you don't think the right position is for them to be the army or the religious?
I was saying, like, they were basically monks.
Right. That were generals.
Well, they were originally peacekeepers. They're technically, I believe the Order started when they were more like Sentinels. I'm not sure if you guys are familiar with like the Jedi hierarchy, but like the standardly, like if you see like the Sentinels were like the ones that go out away from like the big cities and stuff like that and go to different planets and just help out and do stuff.
Oh.
So I feel like it'd kind of be like that in a way, starting off again. Mm-hmm. But sorry, Greg, I didn't mean to cut you off.
Oh, no, you're fine. I was just saying that I think we see in the Clone Wars a lot that they are a flawed group and they're not perfect people. And I think they serve a better purpose maybe post Luke's Academy as peacekeepers and monks and meditative people rather
instead
than
of
soldiers.
generals.
Yeah.
No, I think that would be really cool to see how that could be rebuilt, because maybe like again we said like no matter what was happening, at least in my mind, I don't know, I don't want to speak for you guys, but in my mind, like the Republic was going to fall. Palpatine had the dominoes in place. I've said that like a million times on this podcast already. So I think it was because the Jedi were like a very not bad, but like had fallen from their original like purpose, like you said, Daniel. And so maybe Luke would rebuild them with like Yoda and Obi-Wan's Force Ghost guidance to like become what they were originally meant to be. And so maybe it would be cool to see like Luke consciously thinking about how to avoid the mistakes of the old days kind of thing, and what those steps he would take to like make them better than what they were before. And maybe some of the like conflict can come when like there's something like a skirmish breaks out and he has to like not interfere or like not get in the middle of things because it'll make things worse, and maybe that causes like division between people that want to jump in and people that don't want to jump in kind of thing. I don't know.
I can see that whole being a show.
Yeah.
A sort of like post Jedi Order of just built differently.
Yeah, they're built different.
Not an army.
Yeah.
But that's cool to kind of think about too, like what you're saying, like because it really is becoming a question then of morality. Like, is it morally right to go in and intervene in situations where they can versus them, even though having that kind of power, just being able to be like, hey, we shouldn't interfere. You know what I mean? That does bring up a really cool, like, moral question of how that kind of society would work out.
Well, I am out of what ifs, so
How about we do one more, and this will be the last one because we've been talking for a bit. Here, I'll pitch two, and we can talk about whichever one you guys want to talk about. So my first one is, what if Dooku in episode 2, you know, when he has Obi-Wan like chained up, and he basically tells him like there's like a Sith Lord in the Senate, and like Obi-Wan's like, I don't believe you, and that kind of like puts some doubt in his mind. What if Dooku like tells him it's Palpatine, and like Obi-Wan believes him in that moment, like before the Clone Wars even start? Like, would that change things? So that's my first one. And then what if Harrison Ford joined being in Star Wars? That was a joke one. I think my other one was like, what if Ahsoka never left the Jedi Order? But we kind of discussed that already. So I guess we can just talk about that first one if you want to.
So if we knew that Palpatine was bad from
episode 2.
From
like,
the get.
halfway through episode 2?
Yeah, Dooku tells Obi-Wan, and Obi-Wan's like, shoot.
If we cut the head off the snake with Palpatine, like, does this whole war even happen? Because he's orchestrating both sides.
Right.
And
that's
he's
the
doing
thing.
it like for fun.
I think I've been saying like the dominoes were in place, but that's at like the end of episode 3. It was like ready to topple. I think if you cut off the head of the snake like that early, maybe things could fizzle out, and like maybe Obi-Wan would realize like, oh shoot, this clone army that came out of nowhere, that's a little suspicious. So maybe I won't like take them, and or maybe he still will take the clone army, and Palpatine will just immediately execute Order 66 like in episode 2, because he's like, oh shoot, this is like my last ditch Hail Mary attempt to like get power and kill the Jedi.
Were the orders even put in place then?
Yeah, they were from the beginning.
Because they're like programmed.
Yeah.
It, right?
Well, yeah, that's true. They already have the inhibitor chips and all that.
Do you think Obi-Wan would say, hey, like this guy that Dooku told me was evil, now he wants like emergency powers all of a sudden?
Yeah, that would be a little suspicious.
He's like,
How's the conversation go then? So like, for example, let's take it step by step, because we got a couple factors here then if we're playing it from episode 2. So Obi-Wan and Dooku are talking. He's cuffed up. He's like uncuff him. And
Obi-Wan's cuffed.
like, okay,
dang.
Let's
There
figure
goes my
this
chance.
out. So what's Palpatine's what's Palpy's play here? Palpy's play.
Palpy play.
They're doing that, but at the same time, Anakin and Padme are coming into the droid factory and they're being caught. So,
Yeah, so
are
I
they
think-
then just brought to Obi-Wan and Dooku, like peacefully?
Maybe Dooku still play the part of like being on Palpatine's side, so maybe the rest of the events of episode 2 play out as normal, like he has to do the Geonosian like arena and stuff. But then at the end, like after Obi-Wan's like in the clear and he's like safe back on Coruscant, he's like, yo, Palpatine is evil. I got out of there, and Dooku like is our spy on the inside, and they just like confront Palpatine about it. I don't know. Like I guess they would need more proof or something like that.
Oh, you know what I think happens is that we just basically don't get the first half of Revenge of the Sith. We get the run. We get the speed run Order 66. We don't get the Clone Wars.
That's what I'm saying. I think he just executes Order 66 as like a Hail Mary, like
Mace Windu will confront him. He'll
Yeah.
say like, "Oh, we'll arrest him," and then he's like, "You know what? Go for it."
Okay, so Order 66 is already in play, but are all the clones also out yet?
Right, so there's not enough clones to like take out the Jedi. So maybe Order 66 like fails. So like just a few Jedi like die that are around clones.
Yeah.
But they're not as like implemented like so heavily into the like army. Like there is no army yet. So like just a few Jedi die, and like Palpatine's plan actually just like fails. And maybe again there's like a power thing, like who takes over, but maybe it wouldn't be as bad because they're like, oh, our leader was like really bad, but it's not like there's a war happening now, so they can take some more time to like elect a new leader, and maybe like Palpatine just fails.
Oh wait, when did they do the emergency? Well, when did they make him Chancellor? Well, when
Episode 2.
Yeah, but when in episode 2?
Oh, they might have done it before Geonosis. Jar Jar Binks does it.
Oh yeah.
Misek Supreme Leader.
That leads into another one of my joke what ifs.
On the
Does it kinda
eve of
have
the
to-
first battle of Geonosis.
Okay, so you literally right then.
So that's like you get unlimited power, and then you're like, oh, sorry. I'm just kidding.
He gets Caesared right away.
Dooku tells him, and he's like, "Shit! Like, how did we miss that one?"
Yeah. I just kind of want to see all these episodes that we've pitched so far.
Right?
I think Kathleen Kennedy's writing this, or she's taking very close notes right now.
Yeah.
Watch. They're
She's
going to
like-
do a what if series in Star Wars, and they're going to be listening to this, and they're going to take it all, and we're going to be like, what the heck? I mean, I'd love to see it. Don't get me wrong. Like, it'd be great. Especially if it was, like, animated, like the Visions.
Oh,
You know?
Star Wars Visions, like anime?
Yeah.
That'd be
like,
cool.
that'd be dope.
Mm-hmm. I better
But,
get a fat check for this then.
Yeah.
Exactly. It's funny what we said with Jar Jar. That kind of led to another one of my joke what ifs though. What if Darth Jar Jar killed Palpatine? like right before like everything went crazy.
Shoot. Maybe that's what happens when Dooku tells him, like, Jar Jar's like, this is my moment. I think, yeah, we've chatted enough about these what ifs. If you want us to do another episode, I still have a few more that we could eventually flesh out and talk about. So yeah, let us know in the comments. Greg, do you have anything you want to shout out for people to check out?
If you haven't, go watch Top Gun Maverick. It is the movie of the year. It is absolutely wonderful. Yeah, no, that movie is so good. I thought it was going to be a piece of garbage because usually remakes of old movies like that turn out to be pretty bad.
They're just hot trash. Yeah.
And, it'll make like Tom Cruise like some like washed up, pilot, that needs to be put in his place. But man, like they did such a good job with that. Anyway.
All right. Well, Greg, thank you for joining us. Seriously, really appreciate it. It was fun chatting.
I know, anytime, man.
Yeah, we'll have to talk about some movies. We'll get you on for like a movie review, like a different episode sometime too, if you want.
I would love to go through like a whole movie, especially The Incredibles.
Yeah. Boosh out of the main segment. So that was fun. Yeah, people let us know if you want to do more. Are you ready for TTTTs?
Yes.
Daniel's camera's out of focus.
My camera's out of focus there. I was like, what the heck?
All right.
Heck was going on?
Did you know that Charlie Cox auditioned to play Han Solo in Solo, but bombed the audition because he kept staring past the casting director?
Really?
So Charlie Cox
that was why?
Played Daredevil, and he's so used to acting blind because he had been playing Daredevil for the past few years that he just defaulted to that habit, and so didn't end up getting the part of Han Solo.
Oh my god!
If anytime I space out now, I'm just gonna pretend like, I was pretending to be Daredevil.
Dude. That is such a freaking like baller excuse though. Yeah, I'm Daredevil. I'm sorry, man. I'm Daredevil so much that when I'm auditioning for Han Solo,
I have blinded myself.
I Oh my god. That's great. I love that.
Ready for patron shoutouts?
Yeah, hit me with them.
Cue the epic Star Wars music. Boost, we got patron Lily, Frank, Rick, Lisa, Evan, Tony. Thank you so much for pledging the tier. That gets you the shout out. If you just support us over on Patreon, like it's down in the description, get the audio episode early, social benefits, cool perks, all that jazz, and more. Thank you to our patron supporters. Seriously, though, we really appreciate the patron supporters. Ready for cool comments?
Yeah, what we got this time?
So, on our D23 episode, Zach Henry said, with Inside Out 2, Disney said that there will be new emotions for Riley, with now Riley being a teenager. Do you guys think Disney will go down that road? And he said, in parentheses, horny edition, or horny emotion.
Okay, is horny an emotion?
I'm always that. I'm just kidding. I'm kidding.
I feel like horny is more of a feeling. It's not necessarily an emotion,
Lust. I don't know. I wonder if like the emotions are gonna like grow up too. Like it's weird because I think like the emotions in like the adults are all like uniform
versions of them.
Yeah. So like I'm wondering if like we're gonna
not necessarily grown up, but like versions of them.
I wonder if we're gonna see like the emotions like become more rigid, and I wonder if that's like a statement on like you become so set in your ways as an adult, but you're so like malleable and like fluid as a kid.
I feel like it'd be cool if they did a version where it was like them like Inside Out, but it's the mind of a psychopath.
Oh my gosh.
Like they don't have emotions or whatever, right? So like what happens, like their emotions are like took back,
like caged up or something like that.
Yeah. So then you have like what was the elephant guy's name again?
Bing Bong's just running the show.
Bing Bong is running the show, baby.
Oh my gosh. That'd be a funny list, like not Disney spinoff, but like if Inside Out ever goes into like public domain, just like the Joker Inside Out or something like that. I don't know.
Yeah.
All right, ready for the introduction?
Yeah, hit me with it. Oh no, tell me when.
When?
We just talked about what we want to talk about. Now we're done.
When you said hit me with it, like I like took a breath as if I was gonna say something, and then my mind was just like, what do I say?
Blank.
And then luckily you were like, oh wait, I do it. I was like, oh yeah, like I was like, what?
No, like literally I said hit me with it, and then like my brain went blank. I'm like, wait, he has no other comments or anything else, or at least I don't think he will. I'm like, oh wait, no, I do this.
All right.
Oh man.
Well, thank you everyone for listening. We will be back next week. I believe we're covering Andor, the first 4 episodes. So we couldn't do the first 3 episodes because of some scheduling stuff that came out this week.
Andor and more.
Yeah, Andor and episode 4. Ho ho.
Oh.
See you then. Goodbye.